Oh, I do think that white people are absolutely jealous of black people, specifically with the community, and also with like fashion and music and everything else. That
When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business. When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business.
They're trying to figure out how we're still happy. They're trying to figure out how we can afford the things they can afford, how we can afford the restaurants they go to, how we can afford to shop like they shop, how we can afford to vacation in the places they vacation in, because they have dedicated their lives to making ours harder. So when they see us and we're never lonely, they're like, how are you here? We cannot beat this team, because you can't. You can't. You've dedicated your life to trying to make mine harder. Meanwhile, I'm just living mine, and you're trying to figure out why I'm still happy and I still look younger than you.
White man from the South says they saw black people as pets.
As far as the colored people were concerned, I feel that they were a good bit happier than they are now. They had less in the way of material things. But I can remember back in the 20s when I was a small boy, they were always singing at their work. They had a great sense of humor. And now today, they just don't seem to care much about that as they used to. And I think they've lost their sense of somewhat, which I deplore.
Mr. Hasty, what did you think we were before you began to think of us as human beings?
Well, in a way, we thought of you almost as a very superior pet. Something, or rather someone, we had to take care of, because we had to do so much of their thinking for them. We had to do almost everything for them except living their own lives. Anything outside, we had to do for them.
If we were to say there's an HWCU and say it's historically white college university,
Right.
would we be called racist?
Leave us the fuck alone. What the fuck? Leave us alone. Would you be called racist? We wouldn't give a fuck. And matter of fact, that is all the colleges in America prior to HBCUs. Where do you think HBCUs come from? And to help you out, they're called PWIs, predominantly white institutions. Oh my God. It's hilarious when the white Americans do. You know, if white people did it, we don't gotta imagine. Y'all have done it. Y'all have done it all. You can't say anything that's going to surprise us, because you've done it all. You've raped, unalived, pillaged, stole everything related to black America. We don't have to imagine. You've done it. And unlike the white institutions in America, white people are actually able to go to HBCUs and other minority groups. We didn't just make it for ourselves. We're not like that.
Oh yeah guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all doing good. In America today, something powerful is happening. The black Americans are rising in culture, in business, in politics, in sports, in technology, in every space that shapes the future of America. It's a movement built on resilience, creativity, and generations of people who refuse to quit even when the odds were stacked against them. But with every wave of black progress, there is another familiar wave rising too. The tension, the resistance, the watchful eyes, not from all white Americans, but from parts of society that feel threatened when the balance of power starts to shift. So today, we are just going to talk about why black success is often met with jealousy, with suspicion or backlash, and what that really reveals about America itself. Let's get into these clips. I'll be coming back with more commentaries. Stay tuned.
White people have always admired black people's culture, even if they've tried to destroy it. But imitation is not a form of flattery, especially when you're doing blackface currently. In Poland, there's a show called Your Face Sounds Familiar. And on this show, we got some YCs, young colonizers, who are imitating black artists in America, like Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce and other artists, by dressing up in blackface and performing. And their community loves it. Now, why is this so dangerous? It's dangerous because these YCs, I don't think that they have a hateful heart, but they have an ignorant mind. And with that creates so many problems because it says that I love aspects of you, but I am not willing to get to know your history. I will use your rhythm. I will copy your style. I will imitate your swag, but I am not interested in destroying a system that I know oppresses you. So when we see blackface being done currently, and even with your favorite talk show hosts, it says a lot about where we're at as a people. And I mean a people collectively, one that knows that there's a group of people that have an enormous amount of creativity and influence and impact on the world, period, but not enough where people will actually change it. So does imitation really become flattery when people are trying to be us, but they don't necessarily want to see us when it comes to the problems and the social issues that we have?
I'm gonna say this. Listen when I say this. Like, listen with your good ear. Like, I don't know who's black anymore. I get on TikTok and I'm scrolling and I can see a white woman talking, but in my mind, she's black. Don't ask me how, but it's just like certain features. I'm like, oh, she black. And I don't care. I'm not saying she talks like me or whatnot. I'm like, I don't care where she's from. I'm like, oh, she black. But then I go on a deep dive and I'm like, oh, she's really white. Because many times I have scrolled and there's a black woman, but she's probably mixed race or maybe not. And she can pass as a white woman, but she's really black. So now I'm just confused. I'm calling everybody black at this point. And everybody might just have a little black in them. You just never know.
Wear native African clothes, if we wear braids, or wear native African clothes. If we go and have an aggressive tan, we are never going to be questioned. That's white privilege. And that's why we can freely copy black women for everything they naturally are and reap benefits and even get praised on top of what another person's discrimination is all about. So how can we comfortably sit and be like, I'm wearing braids because it's only hair? No, it's not only hair. It's another person's daily struggle because it's their culture and they're not free to express it. Meanwhile, you, Karen, and you, Becky, you go out, wear the braids, get praises, and absolutely do nothing against the discrimination black women go through. That's the acceptance of compliments. That's when we are getting those compliments without correcting that, oh, thank you. This is actually a black hairstyle. This is actually, we are not even ready to question our own white privileges. That's why we are labeling it only hair, so that we can comfortably culturally appropriate another person's identity. We are using these statements to make ourselves comfortable while we know that we are doing the wrong thing. We know, deep down we know, we just don't want to say it out because we want to.
Not gonna hold you. Why the fuck are y'all always bothering black women? Like, what is the point? What is the reason? Like, I saw a fucking video this morning where it was like this guy pretty much complaining about black women not speaking in the grocery store. My nigga, maybe they're just trying to get fucking groceries and go home. I know for me, I walk in that bitch, I get my groceries, and I go home. I go to self-checkout. I don't even say a fucking word. Why do y'all have all these stipulations and rules for black women? Like, they can't do nothing without appeasing the masses. Like, they go to work, they gotta code switch and do all this other bullshit. They gotta go to the grocery store, the gas station, everywhere on they P's and Q's. Like, damn, they can't just chill? They can't chill. Like, what is it about black women that makes y'all feel entitled to their time? I don't get it. Like, I've never looked at a black woman in a grocery store and be like, she's not talking enough. Like, I don't give a fuck that much.
When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business. When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business. When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business. When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business. When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business.
Being black is such a wild experience because it's like everyone genuinely does want to be you, but they try so hard to act like they don't, but it's so weird that they do. So I'm at work, right? And I have my wig band over my wig because I just have my wig band on, And my coworker is trying to clown me. Mind you, this is a brown guy from the GTA. That's all I'm gonna say. Stay with me. So he's trying to clown me like, oh, why you have that on? And I'm like, because I didn't feel like gluing down my wig. And he was like, oh, because you don't want the line to show. I'm like, oh, someone's been around black people. And he goes, can't even get a breath in. This man jumps down my throat. I grew up around more black people than you did. Okay. I grew up in Rexdale. I grew up around more black people than you did. Not like I was raised by black people or anything. Not like, what are we talking about? What are we talking, like, why are you trying to out-Negro me? I grew up in Rexdale. Okay. But, like, okay, like, it's just so crazy. And then I'm like, bro, why do you want to be black so bad? I don't want to be black. Who wants to be black? I'm just saying I grew up around black people. Congratulations. Like, what the fuck?
And don't think that just because there's not a political term in wide use that refers to the hatred of black Americans, that you don't hate black Americans. Because a whole lot of you, black, white, Latino, everybody, a lot of you do not like black Americans, hold extremely bigoted and white supremacist views about black Americans. And you think it's cool because there's no political term to discuss it. Okay, well, I'm calling it. You can be called on it. Because no matter who you are, if you are not a black American, then you are still benefiting from the enslavement of black Americans in this country. You are. But still, a lot of you play this cute little game where you feel like nobody can say anything about it because you hold this identity or you hold that identity. No, a lot of you hate black Americans and it's gross. And it's white supremacist. And it's one of the ways that pretty much every race of people can be called in to do the work.
The whole history of America is the history of rich white men telling not rich white people that their enemies are black and brown. It starts in the colonies of what would become the United States. Let's remember, during the colonial period, mid-1600s, there was no such thing as white people. I know some people who are now called white find that shocking, right? Because they think whiteness is real, right? But whiteness was created. Europeans didn't call themselves white. We didn't call ourselves white. We weren't all members of one big happy family. Are you kidding? Have you studied the history of Europe? The history of Europe was about killing each other. That's what we did in Europe. We just killed each other before we figured out there were other people to kill. We just killed each other, right? I mean, that was the history of Europe. The English hated the Irish, right? Northern Italians didn't even think that Southern Italians were Italians. The Germans hated everybody, and everybody hated their ass right back, right? There was no team called white, no race called white, but all of a sudden, in the middle of the 1600s, there was. Why? Why was it suddenly necessary to create this thing called the white race? Well, because rich people can count, that's why. And so rich folks looked around, the ones that owned all the land, in the colonies, the colonial elite looked around and they realized something, that they were heavily outnumbered by African enslaved folks, by European indentured servants who were just one level above a slave, or other Europeans who weren't technically indentured servants, but they were still peasants, didn't have any money, didn't have any land, and they could do the math. They added it up and they were like, damn, we got to figure out a way to split these folks apart from one another or they're going to rise up and take our stuff, right? Because after
Oh yes, guys, for centuries the structure of America relied on the idea that black people should never advance too far. Laws, policies, and social norms were designed to keep black achievement limited because black progress challenged the racial hierarchy that kept white Americans in control. From Reconstruction to Jim Crow, from redlining to mass incarceration, every era shows a pattern. Whenever black Americans began to gain too much ground, a counter-movement emerged to push them back. And even though we live in a different time, those old reflexes did not disappear. They evolved. Yes, so fast forward to today, black culture leads global music. Black athletes dominate sports. Black entrepreneurs are building multi-million-dollar empires. Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the country. And black political power is stronger than ever. So this is not luck. It's the result of generations of discipline, of invention, and brilliance finally getting the space to shine. But here is the truth. Anytime a historically oppressed group starts winning, people who are used to holding power feel uncomfortable. Some feel jealous. Some feel like something is being taken from them. And some react not with celebration, but with fear. This reaction is not about race alone. It's about power. Yes. So why does this jealousy appear? Let's talk about jealousy. Why do some white Americans feel threatened by black success? You know, sociologists point to 3 major reasons. First is status loss anxiety. Some people fear that if black Americans rise, it means white Americans fall. But success is not a pie. One person's slice doesn't shrink someone else's. Then, let's talk of myths about who should win. You know, for generations, society taught the lie that white people were the default winners. When that myth breaks, some people don't know how to react. Let's talk of competition narrative. America trains people to see everything as competition. Schools, jobs, neighborhoods. So when black Americans break through barriers, some interpret it as a challenge or a threat rather than progress. And you know, this jealousy has roots, and those roots are deep. We can talk of cultural leadership. Another factor is the influence. Black Americans don't just participate in American culture, they shape it. Music, fashion, slang, dance, comedy, sports, global trends start in black communities. That kind of influence brings admiration from millions, but it also brings resentment from those who don't understand how a culture they once marginalized now leads the world. When you are used to being at the center, seeing someone else take the spotlight can feel like a threat, even when it should not. Yes. When we come to economic power, black buying power in America now sits in the trillions. Black businesses are growing, black tech innovators are rising, and black professionals are breaking long-standing barriers in industries that once shut them out entirely. Economic power changes narratives, it changes neighborhoods, it changes who gets listened to. And historically, when black economic strength grows, backlash often follows. From the Black Wall Street to modern political debates, progress always triggers resistance from those who fear losing control. So yes, some white Americans remain on the lookout, the watchful eye, not necessarily with violence or aggression, but with suspicion, critique, or a desire to keep things in check. Like in the first few clips, we have seen that. So you see it in policing black expression, minimizing black achievements, questioning black intelligence or qualification, discrediting black success as lucky or undeserved, pushing back against diversity initiatives. Again, not all white Americans, but enough that it shapes national conversations, media portrayals, and political movements. So being watched, judged, or doubted is something many black Americans feel daily. It's not paranoia, it's lived experience, yes. So what does this jealousy really mean? What does all of this reveal? It reveals that black success is powerful enough to challenge old systems, powerful enough to change narratives, powerful enough to reshape identity and influence culture. And whenever a group that was never meant to win starts winning, society reacts. Some celebrate, some resist, some get insecure, some of them get jealous. But at the end of the day, black progress continues because it's not a trend, it's history correcting itself. So black Americans are winning not because they were handed anything, but because they earned it. And as the country changes, as equality grows, as representation expands, America has a choice: fear progress or embrace it. The truth is simple. Black advancement does not threaten America. It strengthens America. And the more we understand that, the closer we get to a country where success is not monitored, feared, or envied, but celebrated by anyone. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Of course, all credit belongs to the original creators of the video. And this video is meant for educational purposes and commentary purposes as well. I hope we have learned, because we have dived into the complex history, the social dynamics, and modern realities surrounding black progress in America, and why moments of black success often spark strong reactions from parts of society, from cultural influence and economic advancement to political power and innovation. Black Americans continue to shape the nation in powerful ways. Yeah, so guys, even in the comment section, join the conversation about the rise of black excellence across industries, why progress can trigger insecurity or backlash. Let's talk of the roots of racial tension in American history, and how narratives of competition versus collaboration shape public perception. This is not about blaming entire groups. It's about understanding the systems, fears, and historical forces that create division, and how we can push towards a future that is defined by respect, equality, and truth. So guys, just join the conversation, share your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about how we move forward together. Thank you. Have a nice time. Kindly subscribe, comment, like, and share. Peace be with you until the next time. All credit belongs to the original creators of the video.